McVeigh, there is room, like there
True.
is. I've heard some people, now you hope McVeigh has as long as stay as he can in the NBA, but I've heard rumors that Tasmania is preparing for him to be back December-ish. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Look, I hope he does well in camp, but Houston's pretty deep in his position, which I kind of question why they brought him in anyway. They've got a lot of guys kind of in his 3/4 / is he 3, is he a 4 kind
a lot of young guys too who they're going to want to play.
Young athletes, yeah. And a lot of their previous picks play that similar position, right? And then Brooks can go 2-3 at times. So it makes things, Jeff Green's there as well. So yeah, it makes things interesting, but that's just kind of what I heard from people that are in the know in Tasmania is they're kind of just sitting there, rubbing their hands together saying we'll just hold water till December when we can get him back, because obviously his two-way, the G League stuff starts a couple of weeks after the NBA.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff from Andrew Bogut. He'll be on this show next week as well, so keep that in mind. But Olgun, those comments from Andrew Bogut actually sparked a fair bit of controversy because of the timing on social media. Jack McVeigh making his preseason debut for the Houston Rockets. And we can talk about the timing, but that's not what I'm interested with from you. I'm just purely curious about the Tasmania JackJumpers roster situation and what that would look like if things don't go the way that we all hope and Jack McVeigh hopes in the NBA.
There are two parts of this, Kane. There's the first part, which is the JackJumpers and their preparedness, right? They didn't adequately fill that Jack McVeigh role. They filled it with Ruben Tarangi, a minimum level sort of player. Craig Sword is an import that is probably one of like a third import in the NBL. And so the JackJumpers know as a franchise that over the next 2 months, there may be a lever that has to be pulled. And there's not a hope that Jack McVeigh doesn't fulfill his NBA dream, but there is a level of preparedness, and the JackJumpers are going to be there ready to entertain it if Jack McVeigh, for one reason or another, doesn't stick on that Houston Rockets roster, right? They are there. If he does become available, they're ready to pull that lever. Now, that is separate from the Jack McVeigh side of things, who, from what I'm told around his camp, is ready to stick with that franchise. And from what I've heard around the Houston Rockets camp, they're ready to keep him for the remainder of this season. And so on that side of things, it seems like they're ready to stick with him for the long haul. But if something happens, if he somehow becomes available, the JackJumpers will be ready to pounce.
Yeah, and as they should be, to be honest, Ryan. Like, you're going to look at it from the player's point of view, but that is the facts. And that doesn't mean that the Tassie JackJumpers don't want Jack McVeigh to go well in the NBA. In fact, it would be the complete opposite. But it would be wrong of them not to at least have a plan in case they bring back the star of last year's Grand Final series. So what have you made of all this, and perhaps just in general, what McVeigh's been able to do over the last 12 months?
He's had an incredible 12 months, finals MVP, some of the biggest shots we've seen in the NBL in its history, plus making the Olympic team. He's had an incredible 12 months. So for this to come out right now, it sort of derails a little bit of that momentum that he's built up. And as a player, you want to maximise. This might be his one opportunity at the NBA. Unless something drastic happens, he falls out of favour, he gets waived, he just really doesn't enjoy it. I don't see a reason for him to come back to Tassie. They're going to have a spot ready for him, whether it's this season, next season. I'm sure there's other teams that will keep a spot open for him as well. But it's such an incredible opportunity that you'd hate to see him quit it too soon.
Yeah, and he's in his prime, and no surprise to anyone. His first shot was a runner in the lane, one leg up. He's a tough shot maker.